Greetings metalheads, and welcome to the heart of Transylvania, or Carpathia as we know it from Cradle of Filth. Like I promised, we are making a special video today to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, an accomplishment for which I thank you wholeheartedly. I am very grateful that you guys have made it possible that I can speak about something that's very dear to me, namely analysis of metal lyrics, and people actually listen and enjoy it, and I thank you once more. So we're in a famous location. Behind me is the so-called Castle of Dracula, but here in Romania we just call it Bran Castle. More about the associations between Dracula, Vlad Tepes and Bran Castle in a minute or two. I thought this is the perfect setting for the analysis of Cradle of Filth's 1996 song From Dusk and Her Embrace, Funeral in Carpathia. This has been the song most requested by you guys, and what other better place to talk about it than Dracula's castle. Transylvania is the central northern region of Romania, set within the range of the Carpathian Mountains. It's a place associated in fiction with vampires and all kinds of occult stuff. For Romanians, it's just a place, perhaps the most beautiful region of Romania, but still just a place. But for Western Europeans, it was this remote wooded area on the fringes of civilization. In the 19th century, when the region bordered and was then a part of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, Western travelers wrote about the place and considered it to have an aura of mystique due to the many superstitions still preserved at the time. Romanian folklore received some exposure in the 19th century, and certain writings like Transylvanian Superstitions by Emily Gerard at the end of the 19th century even came into the hands of Bram Stoker, who found it inspiring enough to place his novel Dracula here. It's not only the vampires, or as Romanian folklore often calls them, strigoi, which made Stoker associate this region with evil manifestations, but also the alleged existence of a school of black magic called the Scholomans, or in Romanian, Șolomanță or Solomonărie. Solomonar is basically a magus, the name deriving from the biblical King Solomon. Supposedly, this dark Hogwarts was underground and it was run by the devil himself. The students studied magic, spent 7 years underground, becoming allergic to sunlight in the process, and when they finally emerged, they were shrouded in a veil of darkness. They could fly, they learned to control the elements, and to summon a dragon from a mountain lake somewhere around here, which they could ride. Bram Stoker even wrote that Dracula himself and his kin were all students of the Scholomans. Dracula is generally thought to have been inspired by the historical figure of Vlad Tepes, or Vlad the Impaler, Prince of Wallachia in the mid-15th century. Because of the name, more about this in a second, because of his bloody reputation of impaling enemies of faith and country and other transgressors, and generally punishing crime in a very cruel way, even for medieval standards, and because he had a castle in the mountains roughly around this area. Now, to burst everyone's bubble, there is no historical evidence that Vlad the Impaler ever owned, lived here, or even visited the castle. But since this is the only Transylvanian castle that fits Bram Stoker's description and that still stands today, it is popularly known as Dracula's castle. The only exclusivist society that we know the Draculas belong to is the Order of the Dragon, a Catholic military order similar to the Knights Templar. Their emblem was a dragon biting its tail, and I think this will remind you of something. And even though the dragon is associated with Satan, this was supposed to be a symbol of Saint George and of a knight's self-sacrifice in the name of Jesus. But we can see how it can spawn some conspiracy theories related to Satanism, especially because the Latin word for dragon, Draco, became Dracul in Romanian, which also literally means the devil. And the father of Vlad Tepes was called Vlad Dracul, Vlad the Devil, and Vlad himself was called Draculea, sort of little devil, hence the English name Dracula. Funeral in Carpathia is not the only song where Danny Filth impersonates Dracula. We see that in Lovesick for Mina as well, and there are many other songs referring Dracula being the staple of Gothic fiction that it is. But I think this is the perfect song to listen to in this place. So let's hear it. This is Funeral in Carpathia. The song begins as an ode to the night. In classical tradition, we'd have a poet invoke the muses in the beginning of a poem, and here Nightfall is invoked to show how the song is dedicated to darkness. We have a beautiful description of a deep wooded mountainous area, misty as it is today and forested, over which night throws luciferous shadows. This term comes from Latin and means fleeing from the light. This would foreshadows who the narrator is, someone fleeing from the light, both metaphorically and perhaps literally. He is someone who loves the night, personifies it into, unsurprisingly, a seductive female entity who can lead him and command him. He has renounced daylight and has given himself to the night, a vampire. Lucretia is the romantic interest of our vampire, and she must be the one whose funeral we are attending. We see here a wordplay worthy of a vampire. Love in vain, not V-A-I-N. Lucretia cries blood, so she must be a vampire herself. And if she is one, it must be that the funeral is held for the loss of her mortality. So her mortal self died and she will be reborn unto darkness. Who Lucretia is exactly, we don't know. It may be just a name, Latin sounding so as to fit the setting of the song. Vlad Tzepesh's wives were Justina, Ilona and Anastasia, so it doesn't have anything to do with them. But knowing Cradle of Filth's frequent mention of famous female historical and mythical figures associated with murder and danger, like Elizabeth Bathory, Joan of Arc, I can think of Lucrezia Borgia being an inspiration for the name, possibly the Italian-Spanish noblewoman, seductive and rumored to have orchestrated numerous murders in the 16th century. There is also the virtuous ancient Roman noblewoman whose rape is sung by Shakespeare and painted by Titian and brought about the Roman Republic, so the corruption of a pure woman would align with the is my love in vain, and with her crying, the lamenting of her loss. But it might as well be just a name, and we don't have to look into it that much. After that description of natural beauty, we are now struck with a description of the inhabitants of Carpathia in the funeral procession. Crowds of people, sobbing, apathetic, nearly dead, naked and vulnerable, tortured by the biting wind that I can feel right now. They are attending a funeral, so they are naturally consumed with grief. But this description sounds like this vampire-infested land is hell on earth for those who are still alive. So it's a place where vampires have won and the humans are enslaved. The speaker describes himself as Satan, but also another lovely classical reference to Bacchus. His drinking blood, like Bacchus, is drinking his wine. So this means that the bridal echelons of self are the Bacchants, since they are the female beings who accompany Bacchus or Dionysus, a god of ecstasy and wine. During celebrations, the Bacchants were said to go berserk, getting into a trance-like state of frenzy and become murderous, as in Euripides' ancient tragedy, the Bacchae. These worshippers of Dionysus tear apart a man called Pentheus. In a song about vampirism and murderous females, I love this image of Dracula and his brides likened to Bacchus and his Bacchants. So Lucretia dies and is mourned by beauty and by angels, but in death she is taken by evil. So our speaker wakes up from preternatural sleep on a winter evening and, as I understand it, intends to bring his lover back as a vampire into eternal darkness. After all, Carpathia, or Transylvania, is the ultimate place to perform black magic, probably learned by Dracula in the Scholomance. When night falls, the dead start speaking in necromantic tongue, presumably casting necromantic spells to resurrect her. And we are told that the dead are extremely excited about her return. We had to know just how excited they are. Very vivid image, thank you. This night is pitch black. We have made this very clear in many different words. The jewel-less skies, the stars which are absent from the heavenly brow, the catafalque night, it's dark like inside a coffin. What's going to happen is so evil that the defeated angels themselves are cowering. The master vampire's heart is unhealed after the death of his lover, but it is gladdened by the sound of the storm and of the ritual and the notion of her return. The Priapic lovers are presumably those very excited dead, and the concert is the necromantic rite. The image of light from the jagged lightning during the storm spreading on the path towards the castle is described as the light filleting the path, something only Danny Filth could think up. What a beautiful turn here. Amazing keyboards in this softer and more emotional part of the song, sounding like a confession. In revenge for the death of his lover, the vampire lord wants to establish his reign over all the earth, the ancient sovereignty of vampires. He, the Draconist, the member of the Order of the Dragon, spiteful and seething, will bring darkness over the world. Sunset descends red, iridescent, presumably for the last time, leaving room for eternal night, and supreme vampiric evil shall rule. cyclic structure. Just like the dragon on the symbol of the Order of the Dragon, it's his own tale. This song begins and ends with an invocation of the night, a pledge to darkness. This is not an easy song to break down. Many Cradle of Filth songs have a narrative coherence, tell a story with plot points and character arcs, of course in a poetic way, so they're basically narrative poems, and being a prose writer myself, I am all for that. But some rely more on atmosphere and the impression the words and sounds create, and they have very cryptic images and references which are very much explained. So we aren't told very clearly what is going on, who Lucretia is, other than a funeral is a place called Carpathia, sung by an evil ruler in the name of one woman named Lucretia. Other than this, the song has plenty of room for interpretation, and this was my own. So I hope you enjoy this song along with the special setting for today's video. Honestly, looking around, I couldn't have chosen a better day to come here with all the rain and the mist and the cold, which very nicely illustrates the song. Speaking of Danny Filth impersonating mythical or historical figures in songs, my next analysis will be one that is very dear to me, also from Dusk and Her Embrace, where he impersonates a certain king, very famous in England's legendarium, namely King Arthur, and the song Haunted Shores. And we are going to go into a theme that I find really interesting and that I haven't touched upon before, which is romantic nationalism, which is a great theme in 19th century literature. And since extreme metal is very much inspired from romanticism, this is quite a poignant song in black metal especially, and also folk and Viking metal. So we're going to talk about this next time. Since we're on the topic, do you have any other songs where Danny Filth impersonates a historical or mythical figure that you would like to discuss together? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time on another video analysis of metal lyrics.